Let me see. How is my internet? Yeah, internet's good.
You good? All right, folks. We're here with Colin and Gary from the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast. This is Andre Chin with the Real Estate Hustle Podcast. We get our first co-host back and forth podcast for you guys. I'm really excited to chat with both of these individuals. Gary, you're doing the office stuff, the general manager in KW. Colin, you got your mega team, and I'm so excited to hear your story and how you guys got here. And luckily for you guys, I think these guys are going to put me in the hot seat as well, and we're going to go back and forth a little bit. So I'm super excited about today. Colin, Gary, welcome. Tell our listeners a bit about yourselves, and I don't care who goes first. I think Colin is probably ready based on the setup here today. So Colin, maybe you start us off. How are things?
All right. Thank you so much, Andre, for hosting us. Truly appreciate it. Who am I? I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a leader to my team. I'm someone who's striving every day to be a better version of myself. So that's who I am.
Okay. Gary, tell us a bit about yourself.
That sounded really fancy.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I'm like Colin. I'm a father. I'm all about having fun, and I have been a realtor for 8+ years, and that journey has led me to open new doors and new doors and new doors, and now I find myself with the great opportunity to be a general manager of one of the brokerages here in the Toronto area, and leading that brokerage and raising my lid as those are around me too.
That's awesome. Colin, how long you been doing this?
6 years now. Just completed 6 years a couple of months ago.
Right.
Time went fast.
That's a quick 6 years. I mean,
yeah, I remember, when I first started in the real estate industry, people saying, yeah, I've been in the industry 10 years, 15 years. And I was like, oh my gosh, and you're still in it? You're still doing this? Right? Now here I am 6 years in, and I'm loving every moment of it. Do I see myself being in the real estate industry within the next 20 years? Some aspect of it, buying and selling homes, not necessarily. Certainly not. However, still being in the industry.
Right. Now you both have, Gary, I'm not sure if you still have your mega team, but you're both mega agents. You guys are doing massive production. What are you seeing in the industry, and how did you get to this point? I mean, was it just hard work? Was it hustle, or are there some secrets and tips you guys would be willing to share?
No. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was answering your questions. Sometimes you mistake hustle for just habit.
Right.
And I think sometimes I say to myself, man, there are days where I wish I had Colin's hustle, and then I look at it differently. He'd be like, well, your habit is your hustle, right? And sometimes it's just putting a little bit more gas down, or your foot on that gas pedal a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. But it does come down to hard work and hustle at the end of the day. And maybe that's my advice for this question is don't mistake your habit for the hustle, because your habit is what's pushing you forward, right?
Wow, that's the first I've ever heard that, and I wrote it down. Your habit is your hustle. That's
good. That's a mic drop. I'm just dropping that right now.
Like, we can shut down now. I mean, guys, you guys got the content.
Now I have to follow that. Forget it. I'm out. It's going to be
good. I peaked early. I'm signing off. All the best. I'll go listen to the podcast now.
That's incredible. Colin, share some of that with us. How'd you get here?
I think the value of hard work is often overlooked. And I don't know if it's recently, over the last couple of years, I think we've gotten to a point where no one wants to put in that work. No one wants to put in that hustle. No one wants to create that habit of, I'm going to till this land until the fruits of my labors, I can see the fruits of my labors.
Right.
So I think it's almost a forgotten talent. And we also need to understand that hard work is a talent. So how I got here in the business, Caribbean background, I knew and understand the value of hard work, right? And so the moment I got into real estate was, I'm gonna just get at it,
Right.
and that's how I've built a solid business, built a team. Now we're rebuilding the team, and have ebbs and flows, bumps in the road, but we're taking this much farther and bigger and better.
And I love that you said that, right? I mean, I don't know necessarily that the background necessarily matters, but true, good point, right? I mean, Caribbean background, so a habit of hardworking individuals, and I know that everyone listening probably has someone in their family that they can point to and go, yeah, that's the hustler, that's the guy that's doing the hard work. But you guys got to be seeing. I mean, the industry's changing. We're hearing about it all the time, and we're seeing the age group come down and down and down. And I'm sure you're seeing it in your area as well, where when I started in the industry, I think the average age of realtors was like 62. I remember being in my 20s just thinking, this is insane. I'm in my late 20s and I'm learning from a 62-year-old, and he's telling me everything I think is creative, get rid of it. You need models, you need systems, you need this, you need that. And now we're seeing this mass in droves of youth coming into the industry. What are you telling them? How are you coaching them, Gary, specifically to you on this one? Because you're probably dealing with a lot of these people on a day-to-day basis. How are you getting them started, and what are you teaching new realtors to get their business going?
The systems and models will never go away. Although the actions that we are doing within those systems and models, that's what's changing. I think that's what you alluded to there, Andre. Whether, the obvious thing is social media, but just, how are people interacting with each other? How are people communicating with each other? So what we work on, and I know Colin does this too, is, okay, let's use your way of communicating, however, within this kind of system and model. And that to me is kind of what is setting, those new, young, up-and-comer agents apart from the old school way of thinking, if you will, right? And I think that's our role here, is to still give them that, wide road, really, really wide road and tall curbs type thing, and let them operate there within, right, within their comfort zone too, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the first mentor I had, he would say to me, listen, when I started in the business, here's 20 business cards, and you don't get to go home unless you get 20 new ones. And that's how it started. I think we still know today you got to talk to 20 people a day in order to do that. It's just how are you going to do it? You're not going out with business cards. You might be online, direct messaging. But Colin, I knew you still hit the phones. And even though we're hearing things are changing, you're still doing one of the oldest practices in the book and are still successful at it. So would you change that, or are you going to kind of keep going the way you're going?
As a leader, I think it's important to know when trends are changing, times are changing, and when it's time to get off that train before it hits a wall, right? The writing is on the wall and we're seeing this every month. We look at the numbers where most of the people we're cold calling, they're getting rid of their home phones. So we're seeing that, and we know that is coming. So over the last year and a bit, it's transitioning out of that. What does that look like?
All right.
We know the big thing right now, it's social media marketing. And people who are doing that at a very high level, you're spending almost the same, if not less, on that versus, being hard on the phones. So right now we're just transitioning over, because all the signs are leading to that this is not going to be around forever. And if we, stay within that zone, we're going to become extinct like the dodo bird, right?
I hear that. Well, and we haven't even talked about it. What's your production level? Like, where are you at as far as volume goes in 2020?
2020, should end the year just under $1 million as a team.
And that's gross commission?
Gross commission. Gross commission. Obviously, we haven't hit our goal. However, this is still one of our best years yet.
Hearing a lot of that, and you know, maybe it's the personnel that we're bringing on the podcast, and I don't know that anyone has come in and said they're having a worse year. What are you attributing that to?
I would even say it's because of our circle. That is what we're hearing.
Okay.
Because everyone in our circle continues to push and, you know, encourage us to grow and push us beyond our limits, we're going to see that. And everyone in our circle are going to continue to have their best year yet.
Right.
I'm doing interviews for agents to be a part of the team, and sometimes the interviews are lasting 2 minutes or a minute and a half. Well, because of COVID, and I'm like, okay, COVID birthday was the 17th. COVID is a year old. When are you going to stop using COVID as an excuse?
I love that.
So those conversations, they end very quickly. It's like, okay, you're telling me you haven't done anything all year because of COVID, and everyone in my circle, they've doubled their business. There's no way we can be in business together.
So you're being specific in choosing who gets access into your world, and it starts by not going on the negative space. Is that right?
Absolutely. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Jim Rohn quote, right? So many great speakers now, they've said that in many different levels. This is someone that is going to be a part of our business. It's not my business, our business.
Right.
We're going to be in the trenches. We're going to build and grow. And if the first thing you can look at are the negatives that came and you didn't overcome this in any way. Okay, so COVID hit. How have you developed yourself? Oh, yeah, it was so hard. It was depressing. Okay, it's even worse, man. Get off the phone. Right?
I can speak from personal experience that you've done that to me. We've had these conversations. Gary, I'm sure you're in the same boat. You get on a call with Colin, you think it's going in one direction, and Colin just goes, enough's enough. That's awesome.
There's not a lot of room for failure in Colin's life. I love it.
The bar is up here, and you know, you need the high pole to get over it and call it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Gary, how are you handling it? We heard enough from Colin already. Let him go. He'll keep us going. But what are you doing in your world?
Well, it's so interesting, right? Because obviously a large part of my role in leading the brokerage is attracting talent to our brokerage. And you know, I get to talk to some pretty amazing talented agents from outside our brokerage. So I do get to see the mindset of where people are outside of our circle, right? And you know, you're looking for those golden nuggets or those rock stars, but on the same token, you are seeing a lot of I don't want to say negative talk, but just, you know, perhaps an individual has got caught into a circumstance or an environment that doesn't allow them to succeed or grow, and so we're having those types of conversations. What would it look like if you were in an organization that encouraged you and pushed you and moved you forward like that? And that's where I find a lot of my conversations happening right now, because, you know, let's face it, not everybody reacted the same way when COVID first hit and so forth. And as Colin said, that's yesterday's news. It's how we're reacting and what are we doing today. But some organizations haven't been able to move from that, and I feel my responsibility is to show them there is an opportunity and a way to move forward.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And, you know, funny, I had an agent I was talking to last night, and they brought up this specific thing, and they found a new circle in their world. Not entirely sure what that's going to look like for them, but they made a mention, and they said, you know, Andre, we saw a change in you a few years ago. And I can almost pinpoint it with the people that are around me. And, you know, the agent said, I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. You know, out of the blue, it's like a switch turned on and your production went up, your mindset changed, and you started pushing in this direction. And then I guess he found his new tribe or circle, and he's going, I get it now. who you're surrounded with actually makes a difference in where you're going to go. But one of the things I keep hearing is, okay, so I got my tribe, and my tribe's for today, and we're building and we're doing. And in 5 years from now, do I replace the tribe? Do I grow with the tribe? Like what do you guys think around stuff like that? Because I hear it all the time. You know, I had this tribe and we grew together, but now everybody else is comfortable. Do I leave my tribe? Do I stay with them? Like, what do we do?
Here we go.
Yeah, okay. Because I think you know where my answer might be. He's heard it 100 times. And Colin and I often have this opportunity to share this specific story. And there was our friends, our best friends, my wife and I, we had a tribe, and we in a sense walked away from that because we didn't realize at the time, but it was holding us back. And like perhaps you said, you can almost pinpoint the day of when things started moving. And since that time, it's our business, our lives, our relationships have moved in a positive direction tenfold.
So be willing to make change. Is that what I'm hearing?
Sorry?
Be willing to make a change. Is that the moral? Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah, I think so. You don't be afraid to let go of great relationships that you think are great and perhaps are affecting you in a negative way. And continue to look to add to that tribe. And sometimes you got to make those tough decisions.
Yeah.
What I can even add to that, Gare, and I'm glad you choose to share that story there. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? And we've heard that number of times and different versions of it, but it's so true. However, as leaders, it's our goal, it's our duty, it's our responsibility to help the people in that room grow, so that they're growing with us. And some points or sometimes we're allowed to grow, and we raise that lid together. But sometimes you have to make those hard choices to stay. I'm willing to go to the next level. It's like playing Super Mario. You're comfortable at level 3. You're the only person that wants to go to level 4, and your gang is like, no, I like going from 1 to 3. Okay, guys, I'm going to show you how to conquer level 4. Let's do this. No, I'm good at level 3. All right, bye. I'm going to bounce, right? So it's going to be that. It's our responsibility, duty to show the people around us how to get to that next level. If they don't want to, they refuse to, they're not willing to change, you got to change your rooms.
Well, and I would add even to that, as we're talking about the game, right? You got to treat it that infinite game, right? We're not getting to level 8 or world 8 in Mario and we're done. We got Bowser, we got the princess. See you later. No. We got to keep going, right? And I love that you use that analogy, because I felt that when I had a misstep last year. And it was a business misstep we were going through, and we kind of stubbed our toe, fell a little bit, and had to go back to the drawing board. And my coach used exactly that example, where he said, Andre, it's like you're playing Mario. He goes, you didn't die. He goes, you just went back to the checkpoint. And it blew my mind in that moment, because that is sort of, how we're looking at our businesses is we're climbing the ladder, we're going through the stages, we're following the model. There's a way to get to the finish line, so to speak, or to the next level. But we're going to fall, right? We're going to take missteps. We're going to take miscues. How are you guys handling that sort of stuff? Colin, I know you're ignore it and move on, but so this isn't even really a question for you.
But before we even get to that, Andre, before we even get to that question, and please don't forget it, because you've done a lot. Your world has changed a lot during COVID. So why don't you share that with us and your audience?
Yeah, I mean, we went through and we purchased the market center, became an operating.
Who buys the market center during COVID? You gotta be crazy. Who does that?
I started my real estate career in a recession. So first of all,
It makes sense.
I like to do things unconventionally. When everybody's running away from it, I'm running to it. And that's always been the way I've operated. So when we were doing this and we started hearing about COVID, I actually got excited because I knew I was exactly where I was going to be. And if a world pandemic is the hardest thing I'm going to have to deal with and come out successful on the other side of it, there's nothing that's going to hold me down. It was March 13th, Colin. I remember the day specifically. It was our awards gala. We signed the last piece of paper. The money went around. All that stuff happened. And on March 16th, I got up and I heard Trudeau's going to close the province.
And that was a Friday. The stock market that day, I remember that day specifically. It was a Friday. I was like, oh my gosh, I've lost so much money. Right?
So my first day on the job, we got the team still going, and I come in to run in the brokerage, and Trudeau gets up and says, we are going into lockdown. Doug Ford comes on and says, you know what, we're shutting down the province. So I took the plan and I threw it out. But I took the notes and I threw them out. I kept the plan. And we went back to the team and we went back to leadership and we said, listen, we're not going to change anything. COVID's here and we understand that it's here. We understand that it's real, but the goal isn't going to change. And then we just stuck to it. We stuck to the plan that was devised. We didn't deviate from anything. And we're looking at the numbers. We're doing budget forecasting right now in all our businesses. And we too are having one of our best years in every single category. So
how are you doing all of this where you're running a brokerage? You just purchased this brokerage, you're running that brokerage, you're running your mega team. How are you doing all of this during COVID and still having your best year yet?
Well, leadership is one of those funny things where you can choose to lead and do it all. And we know, as high Ds, if you've done your DISC profile, if you haven't done one, do one. High Ds, we like to put our head down and run through walls. And what my crew around me has been teaching me, and Colin, you're a part of that circle, is how to lead through others. And so when it hit, I didn't look and say, okay, this is all going to fall on me. I looked at my team of leaders and I figured, who are the who's that are ready to stand up and to go to war with me? And that's literally how we looked at it. We said, March 16th, we are, strap the armor on, we're going to war, and who's in for the fight? And then we looked at our activities and we said, okay, the activities aren't going to change, but what is going to change is, are we going to do more? Are we going to double down? And I asked everybody a simple question. I said, are you willing to do 2 or 3 times the amount of work to get the same result as 2019? And they said, what? And I said, are you willing to work twice as hard just to hit 2019's numbers? And they all said yes. So we're in lockdown and we're sitting at home and everybody's panicking. And we were one of the first organizations on both the market center and the team level to start adopting the care calls. We were on that thing right away, calling our clients, calling our agents, saying, hey, how can we help? Because what we know, law of reciprocity and coming from contribution, the more I give, the more I get. And so we just stayed there. And we did pop buys, we were dropping groceries off, we were getting gift cards for people. We did everything that we could to help. And we actually didn't make the focus selling another house. We just made the focus taking care of our people. And so the minute that we were deemed essential, our clients rallied around us and said, hey, we see what you guys are doing and we trust you. And if you can keep us safe, we're ready to buy and sell with you. And then the agents pivoted as well in the market center. And KW being KW, I mean, we haven't even talked about all that we have available. KW pivoted at a massive level and really poured in us as agents. And we just started plugging everybody into that and it worked. Now, it didn't work for everybody, right? I still have agents that are telling me they've done no business. They didn't pivot. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. And that's when we go back to that sort of statement, your hustle is your habit. I'm going to frame that and put that on my wall. I need you both to sign it for me. That's a joint effort. But we started looking at the habits of those people. And we started realizing that when CERB kicked in, they were making more money on CERB than they were in their real estate career. So they were happy. And it's unfortunate because CERB's not coming back. If we go into another lockdown, we don't have that kind of money in this country to support another serve. So they better get up and start to invest in themselves and start to drive. And so that's really all we did, right? We stayed to the goal. We didn't deviate. We doubled down on our activities. We kept our eye on the prize. And I mean, our organization, we're over 1 mil. I think we're 1.45 mil in GCI as an organization. The market center is showing more profit than it did in 2019. We're net positive in recruits. And so it's really just that our habits didn't change. We got up every day at the same time. We kept our routine the same, COVID or not, we kept our routine the same, and we went to work. Yep. Nobody's paying our bills, right? I mean, we don't have that luxury that people are paying your bills. We just had to go to work. And what was cool to see is the agents that did that, the successes that they're having, right? We have people, we have an agent right now, he and she, two agents, doubled their business, 200% growth in their business in a global pandemic. And they weren't slugs to begin with, right? They were doing a really good business to start. And now they're doing, 300, 400, 500 in GCI in a global pandemic when everybody else is putting their feet up.
I love that. I love it. I think every office may have a similar story. Although when I say every office, I truly do mean this, and you know as well as I do. I just love what KW has done to support us as agents over the last 9 months, even going forward. All the tools that they're offering us going forward, and I used this analogy yesterday, and an agent from another brokerage was almost was at that complaining point. I've had to do double the amount of work to do the same amount of business. And I stopped her. I said, I love it.
Yeah.
Let's just change that mindset, because that market share that you kept and took, you'll never lose. Right. And I think that's the important aspect of it, right? That people tend to forget about, No, it's good stuff.
It's that conversation, right? I mean, when you're listening to that, and we're all get the privilege and the honor to get that from KW. But if you're not hearing that, or you're not talking to someone thinking the way that you're thinking and going, that's an honor that I get to double down and take market share this year. You didn't have to, right? I could have stayed where I was, had a light year. That's the thing. I've talked to several agents that are having down years and they're happy. And you go, how could you be? Well, I'm home more, and they've pivoted into their families and things like that. And that's great as well. No matter how you look at the pandemic, there's a positive there. You either got to spend more time with your family. Maybe you spend more time with your kids. Maybe you're reconnected with your spouse, or maybe you didn't. Maybe, a lot of COVID divorces are going out too. Either way, if you think you're winning,
you're winning.
You're winning. That's right. I love that line.
You just can't think you're losing, right? So
yeah,
I love it. Colin, you're having one of your best years. You mentioned that as well. What's 2021 going to look like for you guys? Gary, you as well. I know we want to hear about the market center as well. But what's 2021 looking like?
For us, it's our focus for 2021 is growth. What got us to this level is not going to take us to the next level. And we're looking at, who are the people that are missing in our world that will, that we can partnership with, that we can grow with, to help take us to the next level. So that's our main focus right now, looking at building relationship with people, individuals who are, hungry, who has that hustle, who has that smart, not necessarily IQ, but EQ, who has that grit, that they're not going to give up easy, right? Those are the people we're looking to partner with, get in business with, so we can grow our company and create something massive for everyone that is a part of the team. Our goal is to create millionaires by end of 2021.
Wow. So you're not dialing down. You're actually scaling up and
Absolutely.
continuing to push harder.
Absolutely.
Wow. Good for you. All right, now, are you treating the pandemic as if it's still going to be here in 2021, or are you just ignoring it altogether, staying focused on what you need to, and keep going?
the pandemic has taught us, there are different ways to do business, right? So, and I don't necessarily want to use the word pivot, but I will because I feel like it's so overused. But yes, it's allowed us to look at different opportunities, to say, okay, us being on the phones, our goal was to switch over within the next 12 months. Now we're saying, okay, how can we switch completely within the next 3 to 4 months, right? So it's allowed us to re-examine our business and put those changes in place that will take us to the next level. So even if the pandemic is still here next year, our business and the changes that we're making today ultimately will make us better agents and better business owners.
I love that. Congrats. Good for you. Gary, on the market center side of things, same thing?
You know what's funny? It really is. Operating a brokerage, and I'm sure you're starting to see this, Andre, is the thought process and the business plans and the actions are the same.
Yep.
The conversations are just slightly different, but it's still the same concept. And of course, from one hand, we're always looking to add talent to our brokerage. On the other side, we're always looking on ways to add value to our agents that are already here, and how to, as Colin said, how do we support them in creating millionaires, right? And teaching them and showing them, and more importantly, modeling the ways to do it. It doesn't change. The only thing that changes is now the decisions we make don't affect the 4 or 5 people on my team. They affect the 200-300 people around me, right? So it's a little bit different that way. However, it still comes down to how many people are you talking to every day, because obviously that leads to an appointment, which leads to the listing, which leads to the sale. Well, in my world, the appointment leads to another appointment, which leads to a great agent joining our brokerage, which creates momentum, creates all sorts of great opportunities for that agent, and so forth. And it's really the same, just doubling down and doing more of it, so we continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, and that word, right, growth. Right, we've heard it a couple of different times today. Colin, you and I are inundated on the word growth every single week. We talk about growth, right? So I think that's the message, right? Is you're either growing or you're dying. Pick one.
Yeah.
There's no in between, right? Anyone that's telling me we're going to stay where we are next year.
You're dead. You just don't know it as yet.
It's that sort of, what does Gary say? You're losing so slowly, you still think you're winning.
Yes.
I like that one. Yeah.
One of my favorite lines of all time. And it goes back, someone said to me, how could you have a better year? And I said, because we built our business in the shift. And Colin, it was when we met. Colin and I met in an airport, looked at each other. Hey, I think I know you. I think I know you too. Is your name Andre?
We should be friends.
We should be friends. And we were coming back from family reunion. And the message at that family reunion was, there is a shift coming. Build your business as if it's always in a shift. Because it really is, whether it's shifting up or shifting down, it's always a shift. And so we came back and we looked at that and started implementing all the models out of the shift book as we looked at our organization. And we wanted to essentially shift proof our business. Were you guys doing stuff like that? Are you teaching shift right now, Gary? What's the message around that?
Yeah, the message is protect your business. Right. And it's always the same type of language, no matter like a couple of years ago, everyone was a rock star, right? 3 or so years ago. And the neat things that we learned, in 2018 and thereafter was you got to go after it. You really got to go after it. And it was neat because we could almost have that same conversation back in April.
Right.
You want this, you got to go after it. And it's providing the right tools. We always look at, okay, I'm sure you guys do this too. What's been the results of our agents? Are we taking more listings? Is our volume increasing? Are we selling more and the productivity is going up? Or are we Are our listings staying on the market longer? Or all those different metrics. And okay, if that's the case, what training is required to solidify some of these things, so that we're always looking at stuff like that, right?
Yeah, no, that's really good. Colin, what about you guys? What are you guys doing?
We're being purposeful, right? We're being purposeful, and as in, like we've already started planning for 2021, right? Because 2021 for us started November 1st. Because any business that we write now, it's rare that it will close in 2020. So a lot of our efforts now, it's okay. At the end of 2020, how much monies are we going to have in the bank for the team already? Right? So if nothing happens, forget global pandemic, you cannot leave your home for the year. We know that there's X amount that are already happening there. And if we can add 20% of our goal before the year even starts, we're winning. So that's the focus right now, and building a business. Shift happens, and it's always going to happen, right? But it's building a business where you're shift proof, and you're protecting the business. Now, what can we do to be bigger, better, stronger? And if we don't know how we can operate in that environment, let's reach out to people who've gone through this before. Don't forget, I'm in the business only 6 years, right? There's a lot of stuff I don't know. So this is where I'm reaching out to people like you, Andre. You've gone through this before. Tell me more about it. What have you done in the past that has worked? For me, that is how I learn. I'm not going to be going out there making all these mistakes, because it's going to be costly to my team. It's going to be costly to their family and my family.
Yeah, no, just call me. I've made them all.
Yeah. So so there you go.
I got them all for you. Well, and it's funny because the last thing I kind of wanted to touch base on is, a lot of agents listening right now, whether internationally, globally, they're not hearing that the real estate market is going to change. Now, we have that inside track. We know what Zillow wants. Zillow wants us to have an app. We get a message, go open this door, you get a couple $100, and they keep all the commission. And they're trying to Netflix us or Uber us or whatever they're going to call it that they want to do to the real estate industry and make real estate agents basically irrelevant to the process. Now, you're building a big business, Colin. You entertaining that, or what are you doing to make sure that in 10 years from now, Campbell & Co. is still going to be here, Campbell Real Estate Team still going to be kicking? What are you doing around that?
Relationships, right? We're working on building that relationship. I sent a message to one of my clients. She's a client of 4 or 5 years now ago, and it was a happy birthday message. Sent her the text at 4:30 in the morning, and she responds, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how you keep up with all of this." She said, "But to get a message from you, knowing that you still remember my birthday, we did a transaction 4 years ago. This means the world to me." Obviously, I called her later in the day, found out how was the family, how was the cottage, we talked. Zillow, Uber, whoever, they can't replace that relationship. So for me to keep those clients and keep those people within my circle, I have to build strong relationships. I need to continue to pour into them. I need to make those deposits. So when it comes time, they're not going to be, I would say, distracted by the flashy and shiny objects, right? They know we have a relationship. They know I care about them and their family. And so when that time comes, it makes business easy.
Okay. So you're focusing on your database. And I can speak to that with you, Colin, because I challenged you in 2019. I was like, man, look at your massive database here. How many times you talk to them? Not enough, Andre. And it's probably more important, like you said, now than ever to develop those relationships. Now, you mentioned, you're making deposits. What do you mean by that?
It's in every relationship, we need to look at it as almost a debit card, a bank account. Your relationship with your wife and your family. Are you making those deposits where you're spending time with them, you're taking them on vacation, you're buying your wife flowers just because it's Tuesday, right? Or guys, we're gonna take a road trip and we're gonna do stuff that we all enjoy.
Right.
So now when you're ready to make that withdrawal, babe, for the next 3 weeks, because I just purchased a company in the middle of COVID, I have to go hard at this. I might be here, but mentally, I might not be here as well because I'm so distracted. So when you're ready to make that withdrawal, there's enough in the bank. So even if you withdraw, X amount, there's still enough remaining. So I look at relationships where I'm always making those deposits. So if at any time I make withdrawals, I'm not going into the red.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if that I've heard it put that way before. That makes perfect sense. Give more than you take.
Yes.
All right. Gee, what happens when you hit a negative balance?
Get out of my face.
Yeah.
I told you last week.
Stop calling me.
Actually, Colin and I were laughing. I was telling him a story yesterday. I reached out to an agent a couple of weeks ago and, start the conversation and create a relationship. And he just flat out said, I don't want to be recruited. I'm not looking to come and move. I'm like, no problem. Okay. We have a little chit chat. And then last week I called him again and he sent me a text. Yo, did you call me by mistake? Because my answer's still the same. And my total response was, and it totally shifted the conversation, was, hey man, a lot can happen in a week. I'm just checking in. LOL, right? And he actually called me back to say, yeah, that was pretty good. That was good. That was a good one.
Yeah.
But now I got a relationship, right? It's just having fun with it sometimes and thinking outside the box, and you just never know, right?
Well, I think it's interesting because, it's probably more now than ever that word relationship's probably the most important thing. Our team's hashtag is relationships that matter. And we've always surrounded ourselves with that, right? Create relationships, build with your people around you, bring them close. And we saw that in COVID. And I think that's one of the things when people talk about why are we having the year we're having? That's why. We're always in relationships with our people. We've always continued to be there for them, whether they were buying with us or not. We stayed in relationships. So that's funny that you heard that. Are you gonna get that recruit? They'll probably listen to this someday, and this will be that pivotal moment.
Yeah. I was that guy. Yeah. Well, it's that whole story, right? We all know this with databases, and depending on who you talk to, a database is your data bank, all that kind of thing, right? And if you're not talking to them, somebody else is.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't matter whether it's another agent or a listing that you've been trying to get for the last year. Keep talking.
Keep talking. I love that. Okay. Before we end today, we always ask, final tip of the day. What's something that our listeners need to hear from you? What do they need to know in order to continue to build their business or to grow their business?
Okay. So I'm going to go first. So I got first crack at it. And it just kind of hit me when.
But now, before you do, if you might drop it again, Colin, are you out or are you?
I'm gonna log off like right away.
Uh-oh.
All right, Gary, no pressure.
So okay, we've over this conversation, we talked about it in some different conversations we've had outside of here. Is we had to double down this year. We had to do twice as amount of work to do roughly the same amount of business at the very least. And my thought when we were talking about that is, that's awesome. What if we even tripled down? What would that look like? Right? What if we even went that, you're on your last breath or that last push-up and the guy says, two more. and you actually go and do that 2 more, what would that look like, right? Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing for 2021.
Wow. I love that. I love that. And that is a mic drop. Colin, you gotta come in now.
It's a half of one. No, that's a good one. Just do it. Just do it.
No, that's great, right? What if you did more? Right. And I love that analogy, right? I mean, I've had a personal trainer before. Hopefully he never listens to this. And, you know, he's screaming in your face, 1 more. And you're gassed, you know, the bar's about to fall on your chest. And you squeeze it out. And what he always used to say to me is, Honor, that last set, that last 2 sets, that moment when you were about to quit and you just gave it that little bit more, that's the growth.
Yeah,
and that's effectively what you're talking about right now is yeah, you know, double down to hit the same result, but just do a little more, and that's where you're going to take market share and grow your business. That's awesome.
Love it.
My last word of advice is trust the process. Trust the process. You're going to go out there, you're going to plant that seed every day, you're going to water it, you're going to, you know, till it, you're going to take care of it. You're not going to see the results immediately. You know, could you imagine if a farmer did that? Planted the seed, water it, and like, what the heck? I can't have corn?
Where's my tree?
Yeah. Like, where's the corn? Trust the process. Do the things that require. The business will come. And now you trust the process and you 10x it. Now, what type of life does that create for you and your family? Right? You wanted to hit a goal of 1 million, like Gary's saying. You know, let's aim higher. Is it 100,000? Is it 300,000 now? Or let's 10x it. Is it 1 million?
Right.
You fall short at 600,000. Are you a failure? My bank account would say no, right? So trust the process, man.
Well, I love that you said that, right? I mean, it's business planning season, and I had someone when we were talking in business planning, they said, you know, we're doing the someday goal, the 5-year goal, and we're working it out. And they said, you know, when you did your 5-year goal, I mean, our team's 5 years old on December 16th. We are exactly where we said we were 5 years ago. Pandemic didn't matter, shifts didn't matter, changes didn't matter, agents coming and going didn't matter. We stuck to the process and the plan. And 5 years later, we're exactly where we said we were going to be 5 years ago. So I love that. That's really cool. All right, guys. Andre Chin with the Real Estate Hustle Podcast. You can find us on Instagram. We're on Facebook as well. Gary and Colin from the Not So Black and White Podcast as well. Great show. Give them a follow as well. Give that a listen. Guys, you're on Instagram. You're on Facebook. Any additional ways for people to get a hold of you, Gary, if they're looking to get in the market center, or Colin, if they're looking to join the team? How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah. For me, reach out. Best thing is my email, McGowan@kw.com. Nice and easy. Or Instagram, Gary A. McG.
Love it. Love it. Colin, how do we get a hold of you?
Facebook, Instagram, just any social media, Sir Colin Campbell. Sir Colin, all one word.
The next time we have you, we're going to deep dive into the Sir.
Yeah.
Most of you guys don't know, Colin's running around with this Sir Colin Campbell.
You need to address me as royalty because I am this freaking Colin Campbell, dropping the full title of my name. I gotta say, I'm a bit ticked off when you first introduced me as Colin. Who the hell is this guy talking about? Am I on the right show?
To redo the, you know what, we're going to do an outro as an intro. Guys, we have Sir Colin Campbell with the Real Estate Hustle Podcast today. I love it. Thank you.
Andre, always a pleasure chatting with you, man. Love what you do. Love that you're a part of my circle. You continue to push me to grow and build a bigger world. I thank you for that, man.
Thank you both. You both have been instrumental in my growth and to get to this point. I love chatting with you, hearing all the stuff you guys are doing. It's so amazing to me that we're all still here. We're all still fighting. I love it. Real Estate Hustle Podcast, guys, check it out. And the Not So Black and White Podcast. Go give these guys a listen. And thank you all for tuning in.
Right.